Here's a fun topic to talk about. It's the battle of culture, right? We talk about on this channel or in the daily live streams all the time. Disney sucks, Warner Brothers sucks, they're pushing propaganda, they're doing this, that, and the other thing. Well, one thing I've always had to commend or wanted to commend Daily Wire on is their commitment to creating, original content. You don't have to absolutely love every individual thing that they do, but they're out there creating it. They're out there adding to the culture, whether it's their movies with like Gina Carano or their most recent one, Lady Ballers, or it's their Bent Key app with the cartoons, the Saturday morning cartoons. It's all great. What I always find interesting or funny, really, is how critics absolutely refuse to review any of their movies. Whether it's What is a Woman or, it's Terror on the Prairie, or there's just no critics want to touch it because they're definitely not biased at all, right? They're definitely not biased losers at all. They're definitely not hacks at all, because an actual movie reviewer would probably want to review a popular movie. So when you look at, Lady Ballers, for example, a 97% audience review score. By the way, over 2,500 verified reviews. I mean, I was for example, this weekend, I was thinking about venturing out and seeing the movie Silent Night. Just because I liked the concept, it looked pretty cool. I like the actor. This movie, now sadly, over the weekend, like up until Saturday or Sunday, there were no audience reviews. So I was like, I'll wait. Because, it's expensive to go to the movies. Like you could make the argument that you don't have to get the popcorn and the soda. I get it. But I do. If I'm going to the movies, I'm getting popcorn, okay? So, it's like $50 for my wife and I to go and get popcorn and drinks. So it's got to be like, it's got to be a good movie. And so I was waiting for audience scores to come in. Finally, they do. But just as I'm going somewhere with this is a Hollywood movie release. It has only 100 verified reviews. The Daily Wire's movie has 2,500 reviews. Now, 81 different critics reviewed this movie, and 2 critics reviewed this movie. And I know one of them is going to be Christian Toto. I just know it. Let's click reviews. Christian Toto. Knew it. And then here's Roger Moore of Movie Nation saying, a groaning 110 minutes of agenda in search of a laugh. I think it's pretty telling, don't you? I think it's pretty telling that a movie reviewer would whine about an agenda-driven movie when literally every movie these people slob the knob of is pushing an agenda. They only call it an agenda when they don't agree with it. It's only an agenda, right? It's only an agenda because it's right-wing boomer comedy. Now, I thought about doing like a standard, like in-depth movie review of this movie, but I'm not very good at movie reviews. And the other thing is, how do I say this? Like, when I do a movie review, or when I'm thinking about movies, when I'm thinking about if a movie is good or not, or whatever the case is, or whatever, I don't really care. How do I put this? Like, it's okay if you don't like a movie, as long as you like the movie, that's a win. Does that make sense? Like, as long as you enjoyed it, that's a win. So when I talk about Lady Ballers, when I watch it, my personal opinion of the comedy, I think there are definitely some laughs. And it cost me nothing to watch because I'm already a Daily Wire Plus or premium subscriber. Okay? So it cost me nothing to watch. I got a few laughs out of it. It was nice. It was funny to see, Matt Walsh as like the cuckold guy or whatever. Um, but like, if I had paid $50 to see that in the movie theater, I would have given it probably a 4 out of 10. I know that might annoy you and might bother people but here's why. Because every movie review is colored by your own personal experience. I lived through the 2000 era of that comedy. I saw every one of those comedies. The American Pies, the Can't Hardly Waits, the Happy Gilmores, all this stuff, right? I've seen them all. So a lot of the jokes and the comedy, it was like very obvious, like what they were going for. I think 4 is probably like, 4 is too harsh. I'm probably giving it maybe a 5 or a 6. Okay, especially if you grade on a scale for like what it is, and especially if you look at, hey, it cost me nothing. I got some laughs out of it. I got to support like, alternative production of, movies. It might even take it up like a weighted score of the movie might be a 6 or a 7 if you take all of that into account. But if I had paid $50 to go to this movie with my wife, I would have been like, But that's not what's important. I have no problem reviewing it. I have no problem talking about it, promoting it. I've done, I think, 2 videos on it, and I think people should watch it if they're paying for Daily. Would I pay for Daily Wire just for Lady Ballers? No. Would I pay for Daily Wire to get access to the other 5 or 6 movies they have plus the kids stuff? Yeah, I still think Daily Wire subscription is a good use of money. But the activists are extremely mad. Lady Ballers activists not laughing at gender-bending comedy about trans athletes. The conservative pundits at the Daily Wire predicted that their first feature-length comedy, Lady Ballers, would trigger the left, and they weren't wrong. Trans advocates sounded the alarm at the film's release approach, accusing the movie of seeking to mock trans women and girls who are fighting for the right to participate in sports as their gender. Well, it is not a right as a biological man to compete against biological women. That's not a right. That is, of course, is the point of Lady Ballers. The story of a has-been men's basketball coach who convinces the players of his former high school championship team to identify as female so they can dominate multiple women's sports. Jeremy Boring, who directed the movie and stars as a coach, dedicated the film to women who have trained their entire lives only to be beaten at their sport by a man who couldn't win at his. That's a great line. Also, big agree. I talked about earlier, and maybe, I don't know if you've seen the standalone video by now, but our current administration is trying to rewrite Title IX, which protects women in women's sports. They're trying to rewrite it so that colleges cannot bar biological men from forcing their way into biological women's locker rooms. It's a bizarre thing to see our government focusing on in between sending all of our money over to Ukraine or Israel, or letting an invasion come over our southern borders, or have literal maps of poo for cities over in the great state of California. The only thing happening in our culture more absurd and hilarious than men calling themselves women and dominating women's sports is that the speak truth to power set on the left not only won't make fun of it, they won't even acknowledge it's a joke, Mr. Boring said in a press conference. Yeah, I'd agree with that. You can see Lady Baller film gets hundreds of positive reviews despite LGBTQ backlash. The thing that the Daily Wire understood with this film, understands with their product, is it doesn't have to be a 10 out of 10. It's just, people want to look at Godzilla Zero. People love that movie. Guess what? It's not political. Fast and Furious movies make how much? $800, $900 million automatically now. Guess what? People know going into it that's going to be a fun ride. It's just a popcorn movie. A popcorn movie is a category of movies that people just enjoy, and you don't have to explain it. You tell me, hey, I liked, here we go, Paul Blart. I think Paul Blart Mall Cop is a funny movie. I know it's a 3 or 4 out of 10 as a movie critic, but I don't care. I'll get a bucket of popcorn, bucket of Beaks anytime I want, sit down and watch that movie, and I'm going to laugh. Christmas Vacation, although that is actually kind of just good. But like, there's lots of movies like that. They used to call them summer action films. But you see, Lady Ballers laugh out loud comedy about men who play on women's sports teams. Is it on the nose? Yeah. Is it low-hanging fruit? Yeah. Doesn't mean it's not funny. Doesn't mean you can't enjoy it. And I think it's pretty hilarious that like not a single critic, I like Christian Toto, but he's also tied in with Daily Wire. So of course he was going to review that. But only one critic reviewed it and managed to give it a 1. I just love their meltdown. I love that the hypocrisy that, they're trying to whine about it being, pushing an agenda when that's all they want out of everything else. They want agendas for everything. That low-hanging fruit, pun intended. And every time, and I think Fandango actually blocked Matt Walsh. Rotten Tomatoes doesn't like us leaving positive reviews of Lady Ballers, so it's resorted to preventing us from submitting due to a, quote, technical glitch. So they shut down the reviews. The movie actually got review brigaded by angry LGBTQ people early on with a bunch of 1s before the movie was even out. I don't think we'll see Paul Tassi from Forbes writing about how angry LGBTQ activists review brigaded a Daily Wire movie, though. So I'm happy for their success. I'm happy for the team over at Daily Wire. I'm proud that they're creating content, not just critiquing it. That's something I understand. That is a very viable complaint about people like me who create this content. Right? All you do is complain. You don't create anything. I think that that's a very reasonable critique of even what I do. Right? So I'm glad they're out there doing it, and I'm glad the critics are coping and seething.